So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Maria Fuertes and I'm excited to have you here as we dive into a topic that's the heart of every successful dental practice, managing your receivables and reducing claim denials. I know it's not always the most glamorous part of running a practice, but trust me, when it's done right, it can have a huge impact on your bottom line. So tonight, we'll explore how streamlining those processes can drastically improve cash flow, reduce headaches, and give you more time to focus on what you do best, and that's providing exceptional care, patient care that is. So whether you're here to refine your current system or learn new strategies, I'm confident that you'll leave with actionable steps. We've got the experts here with me tonight, and it's also you'll leave with actionable steps to enhance your practice's financial health. So before we begin, I'd like to quickly introduce the amazing team with me today. I'm excited to once again co-moderate alongside with Jackie Lauterbach, our Director of Implementation Success. She brings up valuable expertise to this discussion. We're always joined by our guest speaker too. I'm pointing here, but it's actually here, Dr. Chen. This is great because very rarely, once in a while, we'll have a guest speaker. It's never a clinician, it's always an administrator. So having a doctor here is exceptional, it's special for us. So Dr. Chen, he's a dental practice owner at Columbia Road Dental, that's in Massachusetts. So in our backyard, Jackie and I, and he will share insights from his own experience in optimizing revenue cycle management. And then we also have our expert panelists. I've got B. Perez here with me at headquarters in Kissimmee, and we have Amanda DeLeon. They're both senior revenue account managers. They'll be contributing their knowledge on managing receivables and denials. So, Jack, what do you think? Let's get started?
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. So tonight, everyone, as Maria mentioned, we're going to be talking about a successful revenue cycle management system within your practice. So rather than starting with an agenda, we're going to give you a little sneak peek at the takeaways that we hope you have from tonight's event. So of course, we're going to talk about streamlining those processes in your practice. We want to make sure we reduce claim denials and work them effectively. We're going to talk about steps to improve just in general your overall financial performance for your practice, because obviously we need to keep the lights on, right? So we want our revenue cycling as it should. And then of course, let's leverage those data insights and KPIs to make sure we're monitoring our performance. We need to look out for when we've got dips in the road, but we also want to be able to celebrate our wins. So we're going to be talking about a lot of really exciting areas of your business, that all relate to revenue cycle. And of course, how CareStack can help you drive that machine within your practice. So let's step forward into our revenue cycle, very visually cycle management. So Maria, I know you wanted to start off on the first one here. We're going to do a quick high-level review here and dive into all these areas throughout the rest.
Right, that's right. So let's start talking about how important it is to stay on top of your revenue cycle, right? From pre-authorizations all the way to payment posting, each step plays a role in keeping your practice's cash flow steady and stress-free. And to get to this, everybody knows how I feel about foundations and the basics, starting out with patient pre-authorizations. That's pretty important, I think, for a lot of specialists too, as well. People that are doing implants, high-level reconstruction. It's like setting the stage for smooth payments. And so when you have that approval up front, you're reducing the risk of any surprises later on, both for your practice and for your patient.
Absolutely. And then naturally, I think the second one we have listed here should be an obvious one, I hope. But eligibility and benefit verification, whether you are fully in network across the board with everyone under the sun, maybe you're a bit more selective, maybe you're a fee for service. Either way, eligibility and benefit verification play a part somehow. Even for a fee for service practice, sometimes patients are still asking those questions. So having an understanding of how that system itself works, definitely important, because it's going to have very significant downstream impacts, hopefully in a positive manner with our revenue cycle, but also keeping our patients informed of what to expect. We want our patients to be happy with us as a practice, right? And certainly they're not if we surprise them with less than savory bills and statements. So right. Eligibility and benefit verification is very important for us to deliver that service.
Jackie, how many times have you and I had picked up that phone because a statement goes out, right? And we're having to explain ourselves, or our team members are having to explain. So you're spot on.
Yep, exactly. And then naturally, just the second step after we're going through these processes is that claim submission. It sounds like another obvious one, What we'll talk about a little bit tonight is staying on top of that process. We all know claims have to go out, but how do we manage that efficiently so that we're not letting them age and not actually hit the insurance in time, and follow up with those, of course. And then payment posting, that's a big one, Maria, right?
Totally. When payments come in, they need to be posted quickly. This helps you stay on top of your finances and ensures that nothing slips through the cracks, like underpayments or missed payments. You know, if everybody's thinking, why is she looking to the right? Because B is to my right side right here.
And I think, Maria, if you don't mind, I'm going to add into that with our teams who look at this and they say, well, the money hit the bank. That's fine, right? Well, that's the first step. I'm glad the money's in the bank, but how do we know we have all the money we should in the bank if we're not watching those payments we're posting in CareStack? That is our checks and measures. So
it's also important. So when it's time to do taxes, doctors and finance and their accountants, right? It's really important to show that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you enough the horror stories that I've heard in the past. But
we don't want to scare everyone tonight, but a good dose of
right. Well, let's talk about denial management, Jackie. You've got some great things about that.
Well, we're going to have stories, I'm sure, but denial management, it's a reality of the world we live in. Denials are always going to happen, whether it's just the insurance companies being a little stingy, or perhaps maybe we made an error. You want to have systems in place to be able to catch that as soon as possible. Fortunately, with CareStack and our partnership with our clearinghouse, we have really, really early indicators so we can make those corrections quick and move things along. Worst case scenario, you have optics on your claims and how long they're aging or being denied so that we can take corrective action fast. The worst thing we want is 90 days later to find out that they didn't pay for a good reason that we could have fixed. That's 90 days we didn't have money in the bank. So staying on top of those denials.
I know that Bea and Amanda are going to talk about that, like what is a clean claim? And we'll dive right into that later on.
As opposed to a dirty one?
Yeah.
Which it naturally blends with AR follow-up. We're already talking about AR follow-up with denials, but just in general, looking at those aging claims, making sure that we're keeping a pulse on how long they're sitting around and getting older and older and not paid for some reason. There should be a good reason why they're not paid, and we should be able to approach that accordingly. Mm-hmm. And then, Maria, one of your favorite topics is reporting, right?
Yes, reporting is your best friend. So when it comes to understanding where your revenue cycle stands, by regularly looking at reports like accounts receivable aging and denial rates, you can spot trends and adjust your strategies to keep things running smoothly.
Yep, exactly. And for those of you who are hearing reporting and already getting a little antsy on, well, what does that mean? Sure, I can run a report. I can look at it till I'm cross-eyed and blind, but what do I do with it? We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So as we move forward, Maria, I know that this was kind of one you wanted to kick off, so I'll hand it off to you.
Yep. So managing receivables and denials efficiently is essential for keeping your dental practice healthy financially. So efficient receivables and denials management, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the night, is key to keeping a dental practice financially strong and submitting claims accurately and on time, verifying eligibility, everything that we talked about.
Yep, absolutely. And here's just a little bit of a snapshot. I know some of these might be a little surprising to viewers who aren't up to statistics necessarily, but let's take a look a little bit at these facts. The first one being our 12%. So for dental insurance claims, 12% of them are being denied in the US. And of course, the region that you're in is going to impact that. Your practice management effectiveness is definitely playing a role in that. But 12% is a high number for denials. And Dr. Chen, I know that when we were kind of preparing for our webinar tonight, we're getting to know what your systems are in your practice. That one really surprised you. I'm curious, what were your thoughts on that?
That seems super insane to me because I knew it was going to be high. I was thinking like it's going to be 5% because insurance companies just randomly deny stuff. But 12%, that means 1 out of every 10 claims and more gets denied, and it's just insane that just takes so much work to chase after money that it's already yours. It's supposed to be yours. And that cuts into your cost and your overhead and so on. And we're clinicians. We don't want to really deal with that. We want to do that, see more patients, have a nice chat. Anything but to call the insurance company. So they do this on purpose. It's incredible, and it's honestly it made me quite mad to see that, because some CEOs parking that. So.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we have a lot of our CareStack community coming out of this. Like, these are facts, industry facts, and these are for real things. And I don't think that people know this enough. So I'm glad that you're coming away from this informed.
Definitely. Our next one here for total AR, 30% of your total AR is over 90 days old, which is real scary. That's a pretty big chunk of your total AR, and hopefully your total AR isn't too high, but regardless, whether it's $1,000 or $100,000, 30% is a big percentage of that. A lot of this is indicated with delayed payments coming in from insurance. Maybe we have issues with our collection cycle in the practice, or maybe it's just our billing habits that's contributing.
Timely filing, right? Part of that is, are you billing out on a timely basis too? If you're hanging on to that claim, it's taking it longer and longer for you to get reimbursed.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we may have briefly mentioned this, but Dr. Chen, being a CareRevenue customer, so you partner closely with the CareStack team to ensure that your revenue cycle management is managed at an optimal rate. But even looking at this last statistic, so 20% of revenue loss is due to improper billing, underpayments, claim denial, all of these things with insurance companies. I would imagine, I know I'm a little biased because I'm always a super fan of CareStack and all things CareStack, but prior to becoming a customer and you're managing your own insurance AR, do you feel, I mean, can you resonate with that 20%? Did you feel like you were seeing challenges like that before, or did your team have a really tight handle on that?
So my office is a startup, and it's I'm a GP. I'm 5th year into the startup, and when you're doing a startup, you have to wear multiple hats. You don't have a staff dedicated to every section of the business. So I was doing a lot of the claims and the billing and the posting. So if you see it behind my wall, these dots, these are claims I had to follow up on. And most of them are empty now because I started with CareRevenue. So someone else is following up on that. And then see this black scrub? That's where I use to deposit checks, mobile deposit with checks. So you have the black background. And a printer for a scanner is next door, right next to the computer here. So, it's after a certain point, as your office grows, it doesn't make sense for you to be doing that. Because I would be doing that at nighttime where I should be with my family.
Right.
Or I should be sleeping.
Or that.
Yeah, and it's just it comes to a point where it's too much for me, but still not worth it to hire full-time staff. Mm-hmm. And then I had to make a decision, like, should I outsource this or should I hire somebody and self-manage it long-term? Mm-hmm. And I figured, I'll contact you guys because I have such good experience so far. And there was Matt actually did the onboarding with me, so I highly appreciate that. And it wasn't like a sales pitch, right? It was just like, you can try this service. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. And that's how I do case presentations. So I'm like, this is great. And they're very confident in their product because it's like they set the expectation, and it's been over that. So right. I'm very happy.
That's great, Doc. I mean, it's great to hear that, how our CareRevenue team is helping you. And I think that what you bring to the point here is like all those little hats, big hats that you have to wear to be able to, manage your practice day to day. And how much time do you really have left for you to do what you're loving most? And that's taking care of the patients, right? And I know that we're going to do more deeper dives through this. So thanks for that.
Absolutely. So as we segue into our first agenda or takeaway item tonight, which is, as we mentioned, streamlining that process in your practice for your revenue cycle and reducing those claim denials, we want to make sure we have really efficient systems in place. I think what we wanted to dive in right away, and we'll create some visuals to this as well for our CareStack users who are watching. We have some really excellent points here. There's 6 of them we want to talk through to really create efficient systems. So if we have efficient systems from the start, we're going to reduce those denials as a downstream impact. So I know, B, you had some, definitely some valid points you wanted to share. Why don't we start off with that first bullet there, which is the pre-patient appointment preparation. A very nice little tongue twister. But why don't we start off with that one? I know that's an important one.
It's very important to prepare before the patient comes in. The accurate information that you obtain It ensures that the patient's demographics and insurance details are correct before treatment because it helps avoid any claim rejections. It helps avoid any denials.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have the accurate patient information.
Right. This is one of my biggest things, as an administrator, as an operator, if you will. You got to start at the basic foundation. And if you don't have the subscriber ID, right name, address, all that information, there's going to be lag time, or you're going to get that denial. And it's going to be another lag time for you to get, your reimbursement, if you will.
Yeah.
And also an important step as well is to do an eligibility. Check eligibility and benefits for for your patients. Verify their insurance and coverage prior to the treatment. That way you could properly treatment plan, or if the insurance is terminated, you can set up a payment plan with them.
Yeah. These are proactive measures too. You know what I mean? I know maybe for some of our viewers, we're hearing this and it's like, well, these are basic, like you said, Maria, these are foundational steps, but we can't do it justice to speak to revenue cycle management without talking about these foundational pieces, because you're doing a disservice to your practice and to your patients without at least checking off these simple boxes right from the start, right? I mean, I know we talk about that with our customers all the time, but these are very important for them to stay on top of right from the beginning, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
As well as sending out a pre-authorization. A pre-authorization, many patients want to know what they're paying for, what they're responsible for. Mm-hmm. So it's always nice to send out a pre-authorization because it enhances the patient's satisfaction and they trust you and they see firsthand exactly what they'll be responsible for.
B, sometimes I think that's great that pre-auths are sent out, especially if you really don't know how the plan works or if you've never done this procedure before. But there's times it's been my experience that I was able to also send out claims without a pre-auth, just as long as I know how the plan pays and how it works. That's crucial, is knowing the exclusions, limitations, and how does this plan really pay, what's allowed, what's not allowed, all that stuff.
You know what we've heard from a lot of newer customers, and Maria, I know prior to partnering up with the CareRevenue team, you were in implementation, and we hear this across the entire journey for our customers that coming from their legacy system into CareStack has such a detailed insurance breakdown panel on all of the benefit details. We often hear customers saying that they have less need to be sending out pre-auths because they are able to capture so much accuracy within CareStack.
Right.
Which, I mean, I appreciate pre-auths for what they are. The only thing I'll say I never loved about them is that I felt like they delayed my patients from actually committing and scheduling treatment because they're waiting on this magical piece of paper to come from insurance. So
Correct.
Not to say that they don't hold their value, especially when the insurance is stingy on giving us proper details. We need, we want to get it out of the horse's mouth, right?
Right.
But having that full breakdown of insurance, it will just lead you to get your patients scheduled faster, get the treatment done, which is utmost of importance. And then of course, getting that revenue in, right?
Right. And it's a great thing that we're talking about this, because there are different types of business models too. Like different practices want to do the pre-auth. It's part of their boutique type patient experience, and that's okay. We're just saying that not everything has to be pre-auth, just as long as you know how the plan benefits pays. Absolutely. And what's covered and not.
Now, with this being the first stop along that journey, and of course, next we have treatment with our patients. That's a whole other bootcamp episode. Our second bullet here being that streamlining the claim submission process, and then of course, any attachments that have to go with it to have successful claim processing. What are some of the best practices that you often find yourself talking about with customers, or places that they're using in CareStack for that?
We recommend that they have a narrative in there. They have proper documentation, because this helps the process to send out a clean claim. It also helps the turnaround for the claims processing, and everything that we will need to submit any x-rays, narratives, any photos. If they're in the system, we'll be able to immediately next day submit them and process and have them processed.
This is part of the clean claim that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Right. When it's clean, we've had some clients tell us that they get paid, less than 2 weeks, sometimes within a week. The cleaner the claim, the faster you're going to get paid.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think an area of CareStack to remind our users or our viewers, if they're using this, is the attachment recommendations, making sure that they're using that feature as a proactive reminder. Hey, before you send this claim out, make sure you have your x-ray, make sure you have your perio chart. Those are all going to be proactive tools that help us get those claims out clean. Like we joked about earlier, as opposed to dirty, but if you send out a mess, you're going to get a mess back, and that's just going to slow down the whole process. So definitely good to do. And now we've gotten our claims out. We have those attachments properly added in there. Fingers crossed we're getting payments back. So we're posting that payment. And if we do have any denials, how are we tracking those? So what are the best outcomes of that process be for that third bullet there?
Well, the best part is that CareStack, the best part about it is that CareStack provides you the claim status. So if that claim has been denied by the carrier, we will see it within 2 days.
Yeah.
The minute we see that, we immediately look into that claim and see exactly what's happening. Did we miss something? Do we need more information? And that's something that we communicate with our clients.
Absolutely.
That's what our clients are telling us. And, I'm going to just do a short plug on CareRevenue. It's just the quickness of the service, and that we're on top of things, that we're even at least letting them know what's happening, like with some of the plans that are acting kind of funny right now. So we sometimes find out those things and we share them with our clients.
Absolutely. Notice that a carrier is acting funny, they're not paying for certain procedures, we take a deeper dive and see what's happening and report it to the practice.
Yep, definitely. Now we're going to segue over to our fourth bullet here, and I know Miss Amanda has just been waiting so patiently to share, because I know she's very passionate about what we talk about with these. So the fourth element of this, of course, now that we're talking about getting our payments back in, or we're managing any denials that come in, is now we have to follow up, right? We have claims that are aging, maybe some that are denied. What kind of tools and best practices are we working with our customers to make sure that we have a timely process with that, and we're using the analytic tools in CareStack to stay on top of it? So, Amanda, I know you have some best practices you share with customers on that as well.
Yes, we absolutely have to make sure that we are following up on our claims. Everybody knows we should be following up on claims, but also a timeline for that. When are you supposed to follow up on claims? We know not 1 or 2 days later, but every office should have a workflow. I suggest anything after 30 days, it should be like why is my claim not paid? So every office should establish some type of workflow when it comes with claim follow-up, not when you just start looking at the bank account and notice you're not getting paid. We should definitely be looking at the claims prior to doing that. And if it's after 30 days, that would be probably, to me, is the best practice to start following up on those claims. We do have a lot of characters in CareStack that will help us do this, where Jackie, do you mind showing the AR report so we could show how that looks and where your starting point should be for that?
Yep, let's jump right into that. I wanted to ask if you wanted me to bring up a visual for this. So
yes, thank you.
That AR report, or aging report, whatever our customers are used to calling it, for our newer users that might be watching tonight, you'll find that under your operational reports from let me back up a sec, your system menu. Sometimes I go a little fast, sorry. And you have your aging report here. So I'm sure in a system you've used before, there's something synonymous to this. So without even bothering with any filtering, we're just going to run it with everything. This is the report. Well, in a demo environment, it would have looked better than that. Hang on. Oops. In a demo environment like this, you'll find often that this is going to give you, so this report's going to give you a broad view of all of your aging that's going on. And forgive me, guys, 1 second. I might need to bring this up in a different view. You know what? Why don't we jump into this? I'm going to bring up instead our analytic dashboard. So same data, different view team. So apologies for that mishap. Your analytic dashboard and the different KPI tiles that you have here, you can see I have my aging breakdown here as well. So kind of a different visual for those who would rather see that top line number. So this is something that Amanda's referring to as your aging in all the different buckets, 0 to 30, 31 to 60, and so on across the top here.
Yes, so I would start here at that 31 and 60. Every office will have their own timeline with which they believe is the best follow-up, but usually I know with CareRevenue, we start after 30 days. We see something's not paid in 30 days, it makes us think, we need to follow up on it. And that's what we would do. There's also another great way to look up your claims. We do suggest using claim flags. That helps you know if you worked on that claim after you do start working on them. And we have a great report. Yeah, we could go into your claims here. And then also, Jackie, do you mind pulling up the claim flag report itself?
Absolutely. Hang on one second. So this is going to be back. So are you talking about in your claims report here? Yes, Amanda?
Yes.
Okay.
And we love this report because you can actually select what claim flags that you want to use. So say if you are having a credentialing problem, if you're having a missing x-rays, you could have your claim flags in there, and when you're looking at the report, you can actually also filter it out and look at those claims only. Jackie, do you mind showing them how to select the particular flags and also save them as a favorite?
Absolutely. So what Amanda's referring to here is when I have the report filters open, we have claim flags as an area that you can filter down on your claims report. So if you want a very direct view of a specific flag, because this is the workflow that you're following, simply just filter this report with your claim flag. So let's say we have claims in process or denied. Maybe you have a flag that says 2-week follow-up. That's how you kind of keep your cycle and your pace of follow-up. Whichever one that you want to select, you'll choose those claim flags, and then you can find it easy next time, of course. Click Save Filter. So when you generate your report, you can name it, Amanda's favorite. Find it nice and easy next time rather than having to filter this report every single time.
I love that. I love when I go into individual locations that I'm working with. I need to know I need to work on particular items. I have that up there, so I can go in there, click on that. Oh, they're doing well on that. Oh, still need to work on this. So I really love that report.
I really like this example. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
No. We have a question from one of our team members, our CareStack community here, from Kelly. Is the analytics section on all CareStack versions? Are they all on CareStack versions? I don't have that on my end. Thank you. So it's, yep.
To that one, I would say if you aren't able, when you go to your system menu, if you do not see analytic dashboards here, it could be a permission-based issue. So I would talk with your practice administrator or your super user and ask them if they can give you those permissions on your profile. The profile that you're assigned to probably doesn't have access to that tool. So that might be why you don't see it. Just another tip for our viewers, you may have that, but you don't see any dashboards. Dashboards are private, just to the person who created them. So you won't be able to see others unless they share them with you. So you have to create your own. So not to be afraid if there's nothing in there. If you can get in there, you just need to create one.
Right. And also Cindy says here, claim flags are so crucial for us. It allows us to assign a team member to address those in a quick follow-up. Example, patient only gave a secondary because they thought, it was primary. So this allows them to contact patients to get the much needed missing info right away.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And actually, thank you. Also in CareRevenue, we have our own thing called value-added automation, where we have a system where we will be able to send those directly to the patient, so the office wouldn't even need to follow up on that. That is something that CareRevenue has as a little special to be with us.
That's awesome. For good measure for our viewers, if you're unfamiliar with claim flags and you're interested in using that tool, from your practice settings, under payments and billing, you have claims and pre-auth flags. This is where you can create your own. So to that example that you're sharing, this practice is using it to communicate internally, where it says, Amanda follow up, B follow up. Maybe Amanda manages the 2-week follow-ups and B manages the 30-day follow-ups. Whatever your system looks like, use those claim flags creatively. They're completely customizable. So however you want to, whether it's a person assignment or just a workflow assignment, a really great tool in CareStack to use.
This is putting processes in place.
Absolutely.
Definitely have SOPs in place, processes in place, and keep them consistent. And if you're going to change them, because everything does change daily, insurances change as you're changing your processes, make sure that you're also training your team along with that. So do you want to go into the next slide, Jackie? Talking about training.
No, it goes hand in hand with our fifth bullet here, which is training and educating your team. Again, just like number 1, 2, 3, it might sound like such a basic thing, but we want to make sure that you remember that you have some built-in training tools right within CareStack. So we always share this slide in all of our boot camps because it's never not valuable to share. But please make sure you utilize your resources, whether you are just trying to stay fresh on a new release or a new feature, or you have a brand new hire, but you've been on CareStack for years. There's always value to be found in these. You have your help button, which is that little green tab that you can move around the screen if it's in an annoying spot. You have your graduation cap, which I'll jump in here and show you. It lives right in that black static bar all the time. You can never lose it.
Jackie, can you do that help button, please? Because I don't think people know.
Absolutely, right there. Your help button. Mine typically lives over here, but I can drag and drop this someplace else if it's in my way. One click. I have myself an excellent directory to a lot of different resources, including release notes. But have all kinds of, look, I have a folder called Revenue Cycle Management. How convenient.
Yes.
Really great videos, links, articles, all kinds of helpful stuff. You also have in your CareStack Learn, these are your different categories of resources. We've got videos, we have our bootcamp recordings, plug, plug, wink, wink. And then of course, guide to reporting. I know we're talking a little bit about reporting. So while we're on the topic, if you're ever unsure of how to use these reports, aging, for example, you have definitions, use cases, and even comparison to other softwares. Maybe you're still learning to navigate your new environment. And then last but not least, whoops. You have your info icons. So just one last reminder, please don't forget to use those. They're extremely valuable. They'll give you a definition to any KPI, even the formula and how it's being calculated, because like we mentioned earlier with our reports, you can look at a report all day, but what do we do with it? How do we understand the information that it's giving us? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue forward.
Right.
So let's round out. Amanda, I know the last one we have here is that streamline patient communication. And this is where on the back side of that insurance cycle, we now drop into our patient AR cycle, which they run in parallel to each other. So what tidbits did you want to share on that one for our viewers?
Just making sure that we know that when we are having clients come in, patients come in, having that conversation right offhand. Hey, these are just estimates. Make the patients aware that there's possibly going to be a balance. Insurance is usually not an all or nothing, and be comfortable with that. Be comfortable with letting the patients know, hey, this is what they're saying they're going to pay. This is possibly what you're going to pay, but you might have more, you might have less. We just have to be very comfortable with patients and letting them know that these are estimates. There's balances that are going to be due, and you don't have to be forceful about it, just making them aware. So when they do get the bills, when they are calling and you're reaching out, sending statements, that they're not upset about it because they were already aware.
I'm sorry, Amanda, I found that having a financial policy too, part of my new patient paperwork, helps out a lot. I know that you and I have talked about this at length the other day.
Absolutely. And then also, I was gonna say, Jackie, can we show them? Because I know I've had some people come on to CareStack and they didn't know where the estimates were. Can you show me a treatment plan where we can show what the estimate looks like? Again, an estimate, so they have an idea of what they should be looking for and what they should be telling patients.
Absolutely, I can do that. Let me find a good treatment plan to show you. So here's a simple example. Again, we're in a demo environment, so please don't judge me on my fake treatment plans here. But on one of these treatment plans that we have here, you can see the breakdown across where we have our code. We can see our total fee. How much do we expect that to be from insurance? How much are we expecting from our patient? And then in this case, we actually have a discount being applied, so we have a little bit more information going into that. But if this still doesn't cut it when you're communicating to your patients, you can click into that dollar value and see more detail here, or right into your code stack, which probably holds the most amount of information for you to explain to your patient. Not that you would necessarily have this on the screen with them per se, but it's a great resource of information when you're the one speaking to the patient themselves.
Absolutely.
These are great tools that we have within the system.
Know your software. The software
Right.
It's at your fingertips, and there is so much it can do for you.
It's broken record time. I say it every single episode.
Oh.
CareStack should work just as hard, if not harder, than any person on your payroll. So use every part of the software to your benefit. It should work just as hard.
We call it our 12th man in the team.
It should. It should be the 12th man. All right. So we talked about a lot of really basic, excellent points that we need to keep an efficient system running and how we initially approach any denials or aging claims. So, as we develop and build on top of that first point, let's move into our next one, which will be the steps that anybody can take to improve just generalized financial performance in the practice. Again, whether you are heavy in network with insurance, you're selective, you have very little or none, these are best practices anybody can benefit from. So, Maria, I know that you wanted to kind of kick off some of these topics. Some of them our team can speak to excellently. Dr. Chen, I know you have some personal experience here too. So Maria, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Thank you. I mean, when talking to Dr. Chen yesterday, it was like really refreshing to speak to a clinician who is totally, focused and engaged with his practice and have also had learned the hard way at times, right? And so one of the things that we talked about, Dr. Chen, was like, number one, it talks about streamlining the revenue cycle management. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, because you talked about processes, what specific processes have you optimized to ensure timely collections and minimizing delays in payments?
Yeah, so we got to talk about originally what I wasn't doing. I wasn't doing very much. Essentially, it was hard to get good breakdowns, right? Because it's a lot of work. Your staff member might be on the phone for like an hour, and it still may be wrong depending on if it's like on the holidays and the regular staff on the insurance side is on vacation, right? So that part is not reliable. And because that's sometimes not reliable, you don't feel comfortable collecting an amount of the copay, right? So then you say, okay, let's bill out insurance first, and then we'll collect afterwards. So that works okay. So that means that your AR is going to be really high, right? And what happens is the nice people will pay you, and then the people who you don't like, they won't pay you. You actually want it to be the opposite if you were trying to like help somebody out, right? So if someone was giving you the correct breakdowns and it's already there and ready for you, your time is freed up, your staff feels comfortable, and it's like one less stressor. And the staff already knows that if for some reason something's wrong, we will refund the difference, like the money. So we're not going to overtake. But originally, it's just like it was just not smooth enough. And if we have a system, everybody knows what to do, and there's less stress, and the days were predictable, which means you get time to chit chat. So the patient comes checking them in, you get to talk with them instead of saying, hey, we're going to talk about this insurance thing. And so then you like a job much better. So that's yeah. So it's very positive. So I mean, you have a choice, right? You can either hire somebody who does that kind of work professionally, and that's going to be very expensive, right? Maybe if on the flip side, if you're losing a certain amount of money, you can say, okay, that's cheaper than hiring somebody, so I'll just continue losing money. Okay, or you can have a system where somebody's taking a percentage and they're increasing the pie for you. So if that's what happens, that's a partnership, and that's everybody wins, right?
Right. Yeah.
I have my time freed to do the things that I want to do, that what I went to school for. Why I open office. So I'm very, very happy. And there's still a lot for me to do, and Amanda's helping me with that. And you don't have to go with CareRevenue or whatever, but you should, if you're having the same issue as me prior to this, you should look into solutions for it, and not just leave this in the background, because you're basically bleeding money.
Right. I mean, doctor, have you ever had, just think about the times, and I know that all of us here that worked in the dental office knows this. Sometimes if you don't have the information, then how can you really present a treatment plan, confidently?
Right, because you want to save patient money. So if you know that their cycle is renewing in another month, or like their waiting period is up in another week, Well, that means you can say confidently, okay, this is not going to be a big deal if you wait another week, or if you know that it's going to be a year, then you're like, wow, if you don't do this, it's going to be extraction and implant, cost you more money. So you can, I know some doctors don't want to talk about the finances of the patient, but I see a bunch of blue collar people, and that's the people I jive with. And I'm very comfortable talking with that because that's how my family has to pay for dentistry, right? And so it just flows kind of naturally. And I do want to do that. So when I have the right breakdowns, the right maximums, the deductible there, I can say, hey, we can get ahead of this. Maybe we do this year, and then when it renews in January, we can do this and schedule right away. And just about everybody just says, do whatever you want done. And so my production in January is really high. But it's just you feel really good about it.
All the other stuff that you're having to think that you used to do because you didn't have anybody, or leaving your team members to be on the phone for such a long time. But one of the big things that you've talked about is making sure you have the right information, having the right benefits in front of you, right? We talk about that as being, inform before you perform.
Like my staff, I like my staff. So when I see her getting gaslight by an insurance company, I walk over to her, it's like take a break, because they're just playing a game, right? So if the third party is just used to that, that's their job. They're not here. I don't have to see that. That helps my mood too. And I like seeing my staff happy, right? I like seeing her chit-chatting with my patients. So we're here for 30-something years.
Creating relationships.
Nice. I see the whole family. That's why I'm not a specialist. I'm a GP. So I get it. It's very positive.
That's almost a very perfect segue, actually, Dr. Chen, into, I know we're jumping one here, but increasing case acceptance rates. And I know we don't need to belabor on this too much tonight, but everything that you're talking about, building trust, building relationships with your patients, all of that's going to contribute to a really healthy relationship with them. And having those accurate details for insurance, those are inherently, this is an industry fact. If you have accurate detail breakdowns, you're going to have higher case acceptance because you can build that trust with the accuracy that you're presenting to your patients.
Right. So, we graduate from school, we have experience. We're very confident that the clinical part we're recommending is correct, and we can deliver on that. But we don't want to say this costs $50 when it costs $500, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna break relationships, and you're gonna feel terrible because you lied to them, and you didn't mean to. And so then what do? You waive it. so then
you want to have to do that too, right?
So then it's that's not great, right? But if it's known ahead of time, people accept that because that's what it costs and that's what they signed up for their plan. So you're not misrepresenting anything.
So you doctor, you keep talking about happy team members.
Yes.
So what steps have you taken to balance staffing costs with maintaining an efficient and productive practice? Because I know that you love your
so I save a bunch of money on not hiring another staff. I give my staff a raise, and then they have higher retirement contributions.
That's awesome.
It's like simple IRA where it's not 3%, you just flat out give them money.
But still.
So literally, it's better than that because it's I think I shouldn't be telling how much they got, but it's you can get thousands of dollars. So they're happy, and then they come in, they got a raise, so they don't think that their job is at risk. And then we present it, and I tell Amanda is when you meet the staff, my staff members, make sure that we're all, it's a support system that we're getting, right? So to make everybody more productive, so then we can do the in-person things, right? It's great, and I get to draw on a more experienced pool because locally, everywhere hiring is really hard, right? But you guys are able to hire almost national for that background team. So then you get to hire better people than I can locally. Why wouldn't I want that? Right. So I get more money. My staff gets more money.
It's a win-win.
Your patients get better care.
And patients are happy too.
Patients more. Yeah. And there's no downside. It's great, which is why I'm here volunteering to do this. So I'm very happy.
We appreciate that, Doc.
Most definitely. And then also, because I know that I'm looking at the time here, I just want to make sure I be cognizant of that. Regarding regular financial analysis, I understand you meet with your revenue account manager, which is Amanda, and our RCM team regularly.
Great, yeah.
How do these meetings help you make more informed decisions for your practice?
Well, so I used to not look at the aging report at all. Okay, so if there's any doctors who are listening in and they're just like me, you really should be looking at it. Because then if you don't know your numbers, you can't project well, you can't plan well, and you can't promise your staff raises, right? You have to make sure you can meet that. So if you say if we do well, then we can go on vacation. So we went on Vegas last year with my staff.
Oh, wow.
We're planning our next one for next year.
Are you hiring Dr. Chen? No, I'm just kidding. Just joking.
Part-timers?
Jamie's been with me for 5 years, and then it's really good. It's very positive, and I'm still working on things. It's like having a coach, right? That comes with the service, who's telling you you should do this, you should do this, but in a non-judgmental way, like a positive, constructive criticism. And then you just know that whatever's in the past happened in the past. Going forward, we have a better system in place, and it was just make sure that the numbers reflect that. And then what we do we do the things on my end to reflect that, to just follow up. So it's been very positive.
That's great, Doc. Thank you for being on with us too. Go ahead, Jack.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a perfect segue, honestly, because our third and final kind of agenda item or takeaway tonight is how are we taking these data or KPI insights that we have in our system and using those to not only just monitor kind of where we're at, where we're going, but how can we use those to also improve on our revenue cycle management? What can we take away from those? And Marie, one of your favorite phrases I've learned is that canary in the coal mine element.
Yes.
Sounds
horrible, but it's true. Well, I mean, I think of our revenue cycle people in offices, in organizations. You are the canary in the coal mine, like what they used to use in the olden days, where they would have canaries because they want to make the miners don't die of gas. I know it sounds very morbid, but it's like you're the one who's saying red alert, something's going on here. We're not getting our money right away. Why is this insurance company taking much longer? Or we haven't even billed our claims. Or guess what, you guys, at our receptionist, I need you to get all the information. This is what we need so that we can go ahead and bill out these claims, clean claims, if you will, like B tells me. So yeah, I mean, you guys, you're the alarm.
Everything rolls downhill to AR, to billing. I mean, everything we're doing from day one, that first phone call with the patient and getting accurate details from them.
Yeah.
Getting the insurance set up right, getting the treatment billed to insurance, hopefully getting that claim paid, or if there's a lag to that, that's where your indicator is going to be. So we want to make sure that you're using these data points, whether it's going to be an operational report, which we can look at those again. You have scorecards, you have analytic dashboards, you have a lot of built-in tools with the CareStack so that you can leverage the information to take action. And that's really what it's all about, whether it's an opportunity for growth and more production, boosting those numbers organically right from the start, or if we're sticking to our topic for revenue on the back end of things, where do we have an opportunity to collect more efficiently or send out clean claims so we have less of a lag?
Yeah, Jackie, there's a great a slide after this, but I just wanted to ask Doctor, with respect to monitoring the claim denial trends, you talked about your back wall, right? Yeah. Can you share your back wall where you used to post your claims and denials? I mean, and the guy would be at night posting payments, correct? Is that what you told me?
That was his OG dashboard.
That was his dashboard, his back wall.
Let's look at this one.
And by the way, we had somebody ask about, and the person had asked about treatment plans and not showing the discount. We're going to go ahead and reach out to you because of time tonight, but we will reach out to you.
Yep, exactly. So I love that idea, the reference of the doctor's back wall, because this is a perfect example of systems. Not to say that you weren't doing the best with what you had, Doc, so I'm not throwing any shade. But for our viewers who are learning how to use their software better and more efficiently, why not use something that's going to update itself in real time rather than hoping that my post-it on my back wall is up to date? Or it's the most recent one we have our claims section where you can look at that detail. With one quick glance, I can take a look here, look at my pending payment claims, and find out exactly how old and aging these claims are. So this is a real-time tool you can be using to stay on top of that.
My favorite part when I got onto CareStack. So,
Exactly.
Client back in 2019, Jackie. Yeah. OG.
So before we dive into a bit more metrics on kind of the performance of your practice, just pausing here for a moment for our viewers. These are some really pivotal areas to familiarize yourself with. So if you're not already looking at these things, please make the time, use your help buttons, use your resources we showed you earlier. Take a look at those claim denial trends. When you're in here in your claims window, take a look and see, am I seeing a pattern with my number of aging days compared to my carriers? Am I noticing a pattern there? Maybe something's going on with my carrier and I need to make a phone call.
Sort, Jackie, right? You can sort. Sorting is great.
Sort oldest to newest.
Yep.
I can filter by my carriers. You can really trim this down if you're trying to be very effective with your workflows.
Mm-hmm.
Predictive analytics, you're going to see a lot of this if we jump right back into our front tab here. I can see information right here for production and collections. I have a performance tab that's going to show me data. There's a lot of predictive analytics that we have in our system, especially in our work list, which is one of our newer features for our users. Immediate impact on revenue. I wish this was bigger and bolder. We have a lot of information here that's going to bring your attention to things that are high and medium impacts on the revenue for your practice. So this is a really great tool for you to use as well. Enhance those documentation practices. I would imagine everyone should be using NEA Fast Attach for their claims, but making sure you have that tool. Don't wait for the carrier to yell at you and say they need something. Send it right away in the beginning. I'd rather give them more than they need and just get that claim paid. Personally, I'm not an expert necessarily, but that's my preference. And then we already talked a bit about this, continuous training and improvement, always making sure you're doing that and I learned this the hard way many, many, many moons ago. I wasn't watching my numbers closely enough. Had I been using my metrics and my indicators, I would have learned about a problem happening in my practice sooner before I had somebody giving me the riot act a little bit, which I needed because it was a learning experience for me, and that's completely fine. But these KPIs are what helped me. It brings my attention to it. I'm not a savant. I'm not clairvoyant. I can't predict these things to happen. I need something to tell me.
Jackie, it makes you to be more proactive.
Yes.
And you can make informed decisions than just making decisions from the hip, right?
Yep. No, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
So I know we wanted to pull a little bit of real world data, and this is true information. It's not Dr. Chen's, just clarity for everyone who's watching. This is not your information, Dr. Chen. This is just some generalized information from a case study that we have with one of our customers. So I'd love for you guys to be able to speak to this CareRevenue team.
Yeah, this is through our CareRevenue team, through the CareRevenue services that we provide. So go for it, B. B and Amanda, go ahead.
So this is a high-level metric report. And what we do is we capture all the data from the months, and we run our reports from the beginning of the month, the 1st to the 30th. And then we calculate your DSO.
So what is a DSO? Go ahead.
Days sales outstanding.
Right. So it's not like a DSO corporation, but it's something else, right? But what does that mean though?
This means how long does it take for you to get paid from the time that the claim leaves the building?
And also the collection from the patients. So a combination of payments will equal the days.
Right. So you have your AR days, which are your insurance days. So in this practice, it takes 25.18 days from the time that the claim leaves the building. And then the AR days, you have your patient days. And the patients are paying within 30.67 days. And then we average it out, and overall your average is 28.07 days.
I think what's important to note here is that, where did, this customer start? And when we took over, what we've done to help them, right? Improve their day sales outstanding, increasing insurance collections and what have you. Am I looking at this?
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
We started at 35 days. And as the team submitted their clean claims,
Mhm.
and we received payments, our team posted the claims, the payments. And as we've done that, the DSO goes down. And it's not only the RCM team working, it's also the practice. The practice is working on their unapplied credits. Their practice is working on sending out statements, collecting at time of service. So that all contributes to your DSO days.
And this is what Dr. Chen was talking about. Like, we're doing all the back work for him to be able to do the dentistry that he likes.
And if I can jump in, I just want to show, I mean, I know everyone who's watching tonight, not everyone's a CareRevenue customer. So if we're just talking about insurance AR days, just as an insight for those who might not realize, if you were to use a analytic dashboard, let me make sure I find the right one. There is a KPI, you can see it right here in the center that I put in here, insurance AR days. So CareStack will do that math for you and show you what is your average AR days. This is between the time of submitting to the time of receiving payment back. Now, I'm going to be transparent here. We're in a demo environment, so 3 days is a little bit aggressive, but we often see, I want to say if I'm not incorrect, our average AR days for our customers across the board is between 12 and I think 27 days or something like that, if I remember my metrics correctly, which that's pretty healthy. I mean, to get paid 12 days after date of service, that's phenomenal. So even if you're not a CareRevenue customer yet, you can certainly use this KPI for yourself as well too. So sorry, did a little segue there, but I wanted to make sure we showed our viewers.
I know we also celebrate we do a lot of celebration with respect to our customers, if you will. Like, we had a customer that they came in this month less than 15 days sales outstanding. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
This industry.
Yep. Now I brought up our next slide. I don't know, B or Amanda, if you want to speak to this. This is maybe a little bit more easy on the eyes than the previous one. I know that those were a lot of small numbers, but this is a nice comparison that we can show to our customers, the comparison between their production and collections, right?
Yes, the blue would be the production and the red is the collections. And we just like to highlight, with this account, I believe this is the insurance and the patient collections together, and sometimes depending on the practice we'll break it out for you. So we would have it also another line if you want to see what your insurance collections is compared to your patient collections also. But in general, this is production would be the blue, collections would be the red, and this is actual data coming from a client that we have. And we always want the red and the blue to be either matching or higher.
And this is for like a spread of the months, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly.
This is what we obviously show our customers each time we have either a weekly or monthly. We call them monthly roundup.
Yes.
So we have a few more slides to show to our viewers, but I wanted to take a moment here and just make sure, does anyone have any additional questions? We've had a few really excellent ones that have come up throughout our presentation tonight. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. We know, especially our East Coast viewers, we're getting well past dinner time right now, if you're anything like me at least. But we'll pause for a moment for any additional questions. And team, thank you guys so much for all of the insights you shared with our viewers tonight, especially you, Dr. Chen.
Yeah, I mean, when I was going to ask Dr. Chen a question, if we don't have any questions.
Absolutely. Nothing popped up yet. Go for it.
I know. So Dr. Chen, working with CareRevenue, providing more insights to your financial health, how has this impacted your overall revenue cycle efficiency?
Oh, I mean, just the same KPI that was just shown for the insurance AR days, mine's down 25% from last year. So it's
Awesome.
not.
Amazing.
There's still some issues that I'm being coached on, but it's just from that alone, like I'm getting paid quicker, right?
Doc, don't knock yourself because you've been doing an amazing job and it's been an amazing relationship. So,
That's sweet, yeah.
and you've had a lot of trials in between. So just pat yourself on the back because you've come a long way also.
Ooh, give yourself some credit because you're, any client that we work with or any customer, no one's ever fully off the hook because patient AR still lives in your wheelhouse. We help you manage with the insurance piece, but these are two sides to the same coin. So I would imagine that that's definitely something your team has been able to put more focus on now that the insurance piece is being managed elsewhere,
is we can create the list, which is provided by CareStack, and then we can go through them case by case. And if it's a case where the patient is an old person and just, they didn't have that much money, you can write that off and get the correct numbers so the data is good. If you don't like this person, you know who to call now to collect the money. So it's very empowering, and then it's data, so you choose to do whatever you want with the data, right?
Yeah.
And it's good to have the things updated, so then if you're making a planning choice, like, oh, I want to add like a milling machine this year, or I want to add a scanner this year, or should I add a chair this year, whatever it is, if you're getting paid quicker, well, maybe you don't need a loan, you can just pay for it, right? Or
those are high ticket items, as we all know. Yeah.
My AR.
Use your points for a vacation, Dr. Chen. We don't want you using your points to buy a new chair.
Also, I went on vacation the first time last year. I did my startup. I opened 3 weeks before COVID lockdown. It's kind of but now I feel like I can survive anything, right?
That's awesome.
I'm always positive because I feel like I'm unstoppable. I went through everything. So
that's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, but the data is super helpful for planning, for projections. I used to be the person who would look at the bank. If the checking account is going up, then I'll be like, okay, I'm fine. But you wouldn't know how much you're leaving on the table. And I'd rather not the Delta CEO get paid more. So that's
fair. That's fair. And as a reminder to our viewers, I know we already looked at this one briefly earlier, but those reports that Dr. Chen's referring to are just getting more familiar with things. You can always watch this webinar again. It will live in the CareStack Learn, the little graduation cap icon. That'll be there in the next week or so, but you have all these resources available to learn more yourself too. So please don't be shy using them. Support's always there to be there for you too if you've got questions, but just another shameless reminder to please use your resources because they're going to help you tremendously as you start to learn your system or refine your systems in CareStack.
And CareStack has many resources to offer.
Absolutely. So last but not least, I know we have an extra special guest. We didn't mention him earlier on our panel because he's been our silent stud in the background, but we have Matt joining us from our sales team for CareRevenue. So welcome to the call, Matt.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm out here on the West Coast, so the time difference isn't too bad for me. We're just getting into dinner while you guys are getting ready for bed. But it's an honor to be a part of this. Thank you so much. And this has been a great high-level overview of everything that's involved with revenue cycle and CareRevenue as well. If anybody does want to learn a little bit more about CareRevenue, I have a little QR code in the bottom right. I encourage you to scan it. Even if you're not on CareStack, I'm happy to go through the information with you. And a little bit of background regarding CareRevenue is we work with offices that are startups, just like Dr. Chen when we first partnered up with him, all the way to very large multiple location DSO. So we have from the smallest locations to literally the biggest locations, and anywhere in between, literally from A to Z. So we're happy to help you in anything that you need, and I'm happy to go through all of the information with you. We didn't talk about everything involved with CareRevenue during this call, but again, there's a lot more that through the demo that I would do with you gets very extensive. But it's a lot of fun to see exactly what it looks like. I'll ask fun questions along the way. So I do encourage you all, if anybody does want to learn a little bit more, scan the QR code, book some time with me. Also, if you are on CareStack and you come over to CareRevenue for the first 3 months of service, we do discount the total invoice by 33%. If you are part of a larger DSO, we have other discounts available as well that I can talk about during our demo call. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I do encourage you all to book some time with me and spend a couple minutes.
Yeah, this is a great exclusive.
No, it's awesome. And I'm glad that you mentioned the different kinds of customers we have. I know we want to move forward here on this, but you make a really great point. And what a wonderful story. We didn't get a chance to ask you about this earlier, Dr. Chen, but I'll share on your behalf. We have customers who come to CareRevenue in a time of need where they're desperate for some help because they've had maybe a shortage in staffing, or in Dr. Chen's case, he has a extremely valued team member who needs to step away from the practice for a bit of time. That person is going to come back, right? But you need some help to get you through the moment. So CareRevenue can step in a moment like that to help you if you're in a bit of a pinch. We love our long-term customers. If you're just looking to get this off your plate and focus on bigger and better things, CareRevenue can help you with that too. So Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you bringing up all of our different kind of customer profiles. It's really great to see how we can help people.
Okay.
Absolutely. Honor to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Matt.
you.
I know it's 8:09, but you want to talk about Inner Circle, Jackie?
Absolutely. Just one last shameless little plug for all of our CareStack customers. And if we have anyone who's watching who's not yet a CareStack customer, we're always thrilled to talk about our Inner Circle conference. We have it coming up this coming February in 2025. It'll be down at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando again. But we welcome all of you to check it out. Register early. We have some really excellent pricing discounts going on right now. But we had an extremely successful event last year, lots of amazing keynote speakers. So we're not just waxing poetic about CareStack, we're investing in your business and your success by bringing in these industry experts and professionals. So even beyond all of those wonderful things, we selfishly would love to see you in person. We love our customers. We don't get to see you in person enough. So please, if you're interested, we'd love to see you in Florida next year for Inner Circle.
And also with that being said, I know that we're also giving out CE units.
Yes, yep, CE credits. We're doing that this year. That's brand new. Thanks, Maria. That's a great reminder.
Right. So let's conclude before we let everybody else, like we're I know everybody's sleeping here. East Coast time. Dr. Chen, I'm going to tell you right now, please tell your wife thank you so much. And I hope not mad at us, but thank you.
My wife's awesome. Like I wouldn't be I am without my family. There's a lot of support. I literally wouldn't have a practice loan without her co-signing. So I told her if I get divorced, everything's hers. I'll just go live in the truck.
We're going to make sure you don't have that situation. You're
I
going to
know, I
have
was
great practice. None of that. Well,
That
thank
part,
you so much.
Jackie.
Yeah.
Dr. Chen, thank you for joining us so much. And Matt, thanks for jumping in as well. Maria, go
Thank
ahead.
you all. Thank you all for joining today's sessions, our CareStack community out there too, and for everybody's great participation. And I hope you're walking away with some valuable insights and practical steps to improving your receivables and denials management processes.
Absolutely.
Any other words of wisdom or anything else you'd like to add? Amanda?
Seeing smiles.
Yeah.
Amanda B, thank you so much.
Use CareStack to the best of your ability. That's
Yes.
my key takeaway.
Well, we're also your 12th man on the team. Reach out to us too. Okay, we're here for
Absolutely.
you. Like we've told Dr. Chen and other clients, we have your back.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Chen, Amanda B, Maria, as always, Matt, thank you guys so much for helping us tonight with our bootcamp episode. And thank you to our viewers. We wouldn't have the webinar if we didn't have you. So thank you so much for showing up. We hope you learned some great things, and we will see you on our next episode. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great evening.
Bye.